Welcome back to Dead Reckoning, the Human Life Expectancy channel. So if you've been hanging with us through a number of Dead Reckoning videos, you're probably aware that we will soon be living much longer, and you're probably asking yourself, what can I do? In short, as we've been saying all along, hi hua, help yourself and help us all to live longer. In this video, we'll explore things that you can do right now to help yourself to live longer. In our next video, we'll show you what you can do to help us all live longer and help humanity achieve each of humanity's 5 core objectives. Since our first imperative is to stay alive, the first thing you can do is to extend your own life expectancy. But despite the fact that many people are now using genetic engineering, cell therapies, and metformin, rapamycin, and other drugs, and undergoing blood augmentation and other procedures in an effort to extend their lives, almost none of these therapies has completed a full scientific and medical review and achieved adoption large enough to impact global HLE. As a result, this video is not going to be a whiz-bang guide to how you might use the most far-out new life-extending technologies. Instead, we'll update our videos on each technology as they reach these important thresholds. However, what we cover here will be even more positive and more practical. Numerous studies have shown that lifespan is at least 75% dependent on lifestyle, and 25% or less determined by genetics. Some even show lifestyle to be up to 90%. This is good news because it means you can play a very important role in helping yourself to live longer. So, what actions can you take that will have the largest impacts on increasing your life expectancy? The answer to this will vary by person based on your age, sex, lifestyle, and many other factors, and you should ask your doctor and geneticist what might be best for you. Still, there are some general answers that you should keep in mind. A good place to start is to adopt healthy behaviors. Simply heed standard health advice to stop smoking, limit alcohol intake, and eat better and exercise. Multiple studies show that doing so results in reductions in mortality from diabetes, heart attack, stroke, and cancer from 30 to over 90%, and increases life expectancy by over 10 years. Since non-communicable diseases are responsible for 71% of deaths, and many are irrefutably linked to behaviors, changing these behaviors is the quickest, most reliable way to enhance your life expectancy. While changing behaviors can be difficult, there's no technological breakthrough necessary. So, unlike genetic engineering and other breakthroughs, there's no need to wait. You can start changing them as soon as you decide to do so. So, if you smoke, perhaps the first thing you should do is to stop smoking. Tobacco kills up to half of its users. Globally, that adds up to 8 million people per year, 80% of whom live in low and middle-income countries. Life expectancy for smokers is at least 10 years shorter than for non-smokers. Heavy smokers are almost 500 times more likely to develop lung cancer than non-smokers. And it's never too late to quit. One study showed that quitting before the age of 40 reduces the risk of dying from smoking-related diseases by about 90%. To help you quit, you might also consider hanging out with non-smokers. Circles of relationships were found to be a more powerful predictor of smoking behavior than nearly any other factor. Also, don't drink excessively. One study showed that people that have over 18 alcoholic drinks per week could lose 4 to 5 years of their lives. Globally, the harmful use of alcohol results in more than 3 million deaths each year. Men make up more than 3/4 of these deaths. Also, don't do recreational drugs. They've not been proven to help your longevity, and many have been proven to hurt it. You can also eat to promote health. A 2019 study of 195 countries published in The Lancet found that 1 in 5 adult deaths is now the result of unhealthy diets. High intakes of sugar, processed meats, trans fats, salt, and low intakes of vegetables, whole grains, and fruits were the primary contributors to mortality. Another study found that improving your diet can add as much as 13 years to your life expectancy. On the other hand, obesity shortens life expectancy by at least 10 years. Obesity is a primary driver of many non-communicable diseases, but most notably heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Another recent study showed that you lose 2 months of lifespan for every kilogram of excess weight. Obesity is a pandemic in all industrialized nations across all age groups and in both urban and rural areas. The World Health Organization says that worldwide, 39% of adults aged 18 years and older were overweight in 2016, and that obesity has nearly tripled since 1975 to 13% of the global population. For the first time ever, most of the world's population now lives in countries where obesity kills more people than starvation. Despite the academic research indicating that caloric restriction can lead to increased life expectancy for many animals, we do not recommend that you commit to a diet that could leave you cold, irritable, and immunocompromised, or even worse. Instead, you should simply eat the right amounts of the right stuff. Eating the right amount is important. In a classic scene from the HBO series Sopranos, the overweight Tony Soprano goes into a deli and asks for a diet pastrami, and the owner replies, "How about half a pastrami?" This simple thinking escapes many of us. Just eat less. Look for portions you could have, desserts to skip, and meals you could replace with snacks or eliminate altogether. We'll leave it to you, your doctor, and others to describe exactly what serving sizes might be right for you. But you should know that portion size has increased dramatically in the United States. Over the past 20 years, hamburgers have expanded by 23%. A plate of Mexican food is 27% larger. Soft drinks have increased by 52%. And snacks, whether they be potato chips, pretzels, or crackers, are 60% larger. You should also know that almost no amount of exercise can counteract an excessive diet. You should also eat the right foods. There's no shortage of advice regarding what constitutes a good diet. You might, though, consider becoming a vegetarian. Adopting a vegetarian diet may reduce your likelihood of suffering from heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. As we mentioned, it also reduces carbon emissions, lessens the risk of pandemics resulting from viruses evolving from animals crowded into today's factory farms, and will help to avoid killing billions of sentient animals. To the extent that you continue to eat meat, it makes sense to eat animals with lower feed conversion ratios. As we discussed in our new food technologies video, agricultural economists calculate feed conversion ratios as the ratio of the weight of feed that's required to increase an animal's edible meat. Typical feed conversion ratios are 6 to 10 for beef, 2.7 to 5 for pigs, 1.7 to 2 for chickens, and 1 to 2.4 for farmed fish. This involves replacing red and processed meat, bacon, hot dogs, hamburgers, and sausages, with white meat, chicken or turkey, and fatty fish. The feed conversion ratio for tofu is as low as 0.29, which is about 32 times more efficient than beef. It's also good to eat less carbohydrates, sugars, potatoes, pasta, bread, and rice, and more vegetables. In 2019, a large study published by the Journal of American Medical Association showed that an increased consumption of high glycemic processed food is associated with a 14% increased risk of all-cause mortality. And unless you think eating well requires suffering, you can eat more chocolate. People that regularly ate a piece of chocolate had a 37% lower risk of heart attack and a 29% lower risk of stroke. Chocolate, along with blueberries and tea, has also been shown to increase the growth of brain cells. One of the more popular diets currently is known as the Blue Zone diet. Author and researcher Dan Bettner has identified what people eat in several blue zones that are areas of the world where people live the longest. For example, Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya, Ikaria, and Loma Linda, California. We also expect that more increasingly healthy and satisfying food choices will be available in the future. We'll probably invent new foods that taste great but don't harm our health or the environment. You can also use diet trackers and sensors such as calorie counters and continuous glucose monitors, and AI will provide increased reinforcing feedback loops to encourage proper eating. And of course, you should also exercise. Physical activity reduces many major mortality risks, including arterial hypertension, type 2 diabetes, dyslipidemia, coronary heart disease, stroke, and cancer. One major study found that being physically active reduces all-cause mortality by 30 to 35%. Those are big numbers. Exercise is also known to be a stimulator of autophagy in both muscle tissues and the brain. It promotes autophagy, balances your blood sugar levels, lowers your inflammation level, and burns energy so your body is forced to turn fat into fuel. Individuals with physical activity for 26 to 30 minutes a day had a significantly higher level of DNA methylation, signaling lower biological age, compared to those with less than 10 minutes per day. Many of us simply don't get enough exercise. Over 4 out of 5 school-going adolescents aged 11 to 17 years did not meet the WHO recommendations of doing at least 1 hour of physical activity daily. In 2016, the global age-standardized prevalence of physical inactivity for adults was a staggering 27.5%. The World Health Organization recommends that adults get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity each week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity each week. And doubling those numbers gives additional benefits. Aerobic activity should be performed in bouts of at least 10 minutes. Muscle strengthening activity should also be done involving major muscle groups on 2 or more days a week. A study following more than 650,000 people for an average of 10 years and including more than 100,000 deaths found that 75 minutes of moderate exercise a week led to almost 2 additional years of life expectancy. 2.5 to 5 hours a week added 3.5 years, and an hour a day added 4.5 years. One recent study showed an 8-week treatment program, including diet, sleep, exercise, and relaxation, was associated with a 3.23-year decrease in biological age as measured by DNA methylation. Studies also show that even a little bit of exercise is much better than none at all, and it's also never too late to start. Increasing physical activity extends your life at every age. Safe, lower-intensity exercises such as walking, dance, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, and active hobbies such as gardening promote health, strength, and good posture. You should also take advantage of the best medical knowledge, resources, and technologies. Keep up to date on new technologies and medical procedures, and ask your doctor if any of them might be right for you. Technologies will undoubtedly play a larger role in extending HLE going forward. As we've shown in our technology videos, they will be the primary factor driving a 10-year increase in HLE across the globe over the next 20 years. You don't want to be a slow follower and miss out on an extra decade of healthy life. Also, many people die because they fail to diagnose diseases until it's too late. Use the increasing array of resources that can help you to identify issues and take appropriate actions. Visit your doctor and dentist regularly and do what they say. They're your best partners in extending your life expectancy. Make sure to schedule your health maintenance, including yearly checkups, flu shots, and appropriate blood tests, mammograms, colonoscopies, etc., all as called for. Also, remember to take your prescription drugs. A broad range of drugs and treatments have been proven to be helpful in controlling heart disease, strokes, diabetes, cancer, and other non-communicable diseases. If your doctor has prescribed them for you, taking them is one of the most effective things that you can do to enhance your life expectancy. And avoid the significant harm that can come from not following their advice. For example, failing to take the full course of antibiotics they give you can cause grave harm to yourself and others by allowing the most resistant bacteria in your system to survive and evolve. You should also monitor your health on an ongoing basis. Some tests are no-brainers with no downsides. Today, you can get sensors to monitor your weight, pulse, breathing, blood pressure, sleep, and even insulin levels. Body Mass Index, BMI, is a measure of body fat based on the height and weight and applies to adult men and women. Since obesity is a major driver of diseases and mortality, tracking your BMI is a first important step to helping you manage your weight. You can also track your blood pressure to help you avoid and manage cardiovascular diseases. Blood pressure is considered normal if it's below 120/80. From about 115/75, every additional 20/10 roughly doubles the risk of death from heart disease or stroke. There's also multiple safe, effective drugs that reduce blood pressure. Your doctor can help you find the best ones for you, and you should take them as prescribed. You can also get other tests. Blood tests commonly include important screens, including the complete blood count, CBC, of red and white blood cells and platelets, metabolic panels, lipid, thyroid, and coagulation panels, cardiac biomarkers, sexually transmitted infections, and adrenal and liver function tests. Also, women should conduct monthly mammograms to screen themselves for breast cancer. Adults should also have yearly dermatology screenings to search for skin cancers and other abnormality. And of course, once you're over 50, or earlier if you're at higher risk, men should also get yearly prostate exams, and everyone should get a colonoscopy. Genetic tests can provide advanced indications of potential genetic conditions, predictors of life expectancy, and a range of other helpful indications. Also, if you or a loved one get cancer, you and your doctor might consider having paired exome or whole exome sequencing to determine the driver mutations to target in therapy. Epigenetic tests offer the first ever indication of your biological age, which you can monitor to see how well all the actions you're taking are doing at enhancing your longevity. Other tests can be life-saving, but involve health trade-offs, for example, exposure to radiation, and those mean that they should only be done when prescribed by a doctor. Also, try to avoid any treatments and medical procedures that do not have scientific proof of their ability to enhance your life expectancy. For example, watch out for nutraceuticals. The global nutraceutical market is about $400 billion and is expanding rapidly. However, many of these products have not been proven to have any positive impact on your health, and some can actually harm you. Finally, you, with your doctor's assistance, might consider taking life-extending pharmaceuticals as they're proven to be safe and effective. Many age researchers are currently taking a range of supplements, including metformin and rapamycin. In addition to doing all the things we've discussed to avoid non-communicable diseases, there's also much you can do to avoid communicable diseases. Beware of what communicable diseases you might be exposed to and take appropriate precautions. These include taking vaccines. The science is unmistakably clear. Vaccines increase not only your own life expectancy, but the life expectancies of others you might infect. Limiting your exposure by staying away from regions where communicable diseases exist, and keeping appropriate distances from those who have communicable diseases, or that might be infected by the communicable diseases that you might spread. Maintaining appropriate hygiene, including coughing into your elbow and washing your hands, wearing masks, gloves, and other protective gear when suggested by regional health authorities. You can also take steps to avoid injuries. Increased focus on safety can reduce injuries of all kinds. Use forms of transportation, for example public transportation and autonomous cars, that have much lower mortality risks. The mortality rate for buses and trains is less than 1/10 the rate for cars, and bicycles have twice the mortality rate of cars. Reduce the likelihood of falls by staying off of ladders and living in single-floor residences or ones with stair lifts or elevators. You can also ensure your residence has working smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And call for help if you're depressed and having suicidal thoughts. Getting enough sleep is also critical for your health. More than 1/3 of American adults fail to get the recommended 7 hours of sleep per night. Research suggests that regularly sleeping for less than 7 hours a night can have a negative impact on the cardiovascular, endocrine, immune, and nervous systems. Side effects of sleep deprivation can include obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and hypertension, anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. Over time, chronic sleep deprivation can blunt your immune response, leading to infections, alter insulin production, increasing your risk for type 2 diabetes, and elevate your blood pressure, upping your risk of heart disease. The regularity of sleep also matters. Another recent study found that individuals that maintained strictly regular sleep-wake schedules had better cholesterol levels and enhanced longevity. It turns out that engaging socially is not only fun, it also improves your life expectancy. Get married and have kids, or at least get a dog. People in families live longer than people who live on their own. Married people, both men and women, not only live longer than singles, but the longevity gap between the two groups is growing. Once you're in a marriage, there's a host of tangible and intangible benefits that give you a health advantage. Being married also means that you have someone looking out for you and reinforcing healthy behaviors. Married people are more likely to have health insurance and therefore have better access to health care. Having children can also add up to 2 years to a parent's lifespan. The association between having children and a longer lifespan grows with age, with men seeing the largest life expectancy increase as a result of parenthood. Finally, if kids aren't your thing, consider getting a dog. One study showed that getting a dog can reduce your yearly mortality risk by a whopping 24%. So these are just a few of the top-level things that you can do to help yourself to live longer. Again, we'll refer you to the many books and sources available for more details. In our next video, we'll explore the other part of Haihua, how you can help us all to live longer. In the meantime, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the Human Life Expectancy channel to make sure you don't miss our next videos, and post comments for the topics you'd like to have us cover. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, as we say at Human Life Expectancy Inc., Haihua! Do what you can to help yourself and help us all to live longer.